Have you ever found yourself struggling to explain something simple to someone who just doesn't seem to get it? Don't worry, you're not alone. This is actually a pretty common cognitive bias called as the curse of knowledge. In this video, we're going to find out what it is and how it plays out in the real world. Let's dive into it with an intriguing psychological experiment. In the year 1990, a researcher at Stanford conducted an experiment where she assigned people one of two roles: tapper or listener. The tapper's role was to choose a well-known song such as Happy Birthday and tap out its rhythm on the table. The listener's job was to guess which song is it. But before they guessed the song, the tappers were asked to predict how likely is it that the listeners would guess the song correctly. The tappers said about 50%. In the course of the experiment, 120 songs were tapped out, but the listeners could only guess 3. That's a success ratio of 2.5%. So why did this happen? Why did the tappers predict that 50% of the people would guess the song correctly, but in reality only 2.5% could do that? When a tapper taps, they are listening to a tune in their head that's playing along with the taps. Go ahead, try it yourself. You cannot help but listen to the music playing in your mind. Meanwhile, all the listener can hear is a series of random taps because they don't know what is the song in the first place. And yet, it's surprising for the tappers to understand how difficult is it for the listeners to understand which song is it. The problem is that once we know something, like the tune of a song, it's hard to imagine not knowing it. Our knowledge has cursed us, and we have difficulty sharing it with others because we can't recreate their state of mind, the listeners who don't know the tune of the song. In other words, there's an information imbalance between the communicator and the listener. It's interesting because this same information imbalance goes on every day between managers and employees, teachers and students, or marketers and customers. When a CEO says to her employees that we need to maximize shareholder value, there's a tune playing in her head that the employees can't hear. To overcome the curse of knowledge, the communicators need to translate their message into a concrete language that the listeners can understand. This video is inspired from a 2006 Harvard Business Review article called The Curse of Knowledge. The authors, Chip and Dan Heath, went on to write a book where they explain how can we improve our communication and make our messages stick in the minds of our listeners. This book is called Made to Stick, and it explains 6 principles that can be used as sort of a checklist to create sticky ideas. These 6 principles can be remembered easily with the acronym SUCCES, where S stands for simple, U stands for unexpected, C stands for concrete, C stands for credible, E stands for emotion, and S stands for stories. Let's look at each of these 6 principles in a bit more detail. Simple means that you have to find the core of your idea or thought. Unexpected means that you have to grab people's attention by surprising them. Concrete means that the idea can be grasped and remembered later. Credible is about making the idea believable and giving it credibility. Emotions are about helping people see the importance of the idea. And stories empower people to see the idea through a narrative. So let's take the example of our CEO again, who was telling her employees to maximize shareholder value. Is this idea simple? Well, maybe in the sense that it's short, but it's definitely not easy to understand. Is it unexpected? No. Is it concrete? No. Is it credible? Maybe, only because it's coming from the mouth of a CEO. Is it emotional? No. Does it have a story? No. Now let's take another example. When the US President John F. Kennedy wanted to rally support for his space program, he could have said something like this: "Our mission is to become an international leader in space through team-led initiatives and pioneering space technology, blah blah blah." But instead, he said, "We will put a man on the moon and return him safely by the end of the decade." Now let's look at this message. Is it simple? Yes. Is it unexpected? Yes. Is it concrete? Yes. Is it credible? Well, it seems like science fiction, but it's coming from the mouth of a US president. Is it emotional? Definitely. And does it have a story? Yes, in miniature. Kennedy knew that abstract missions don't captivate and inspire people. This is a classic case of dodging the curse of knowledge. This brilliant and beautiful idea motivated millions of people for over a decade to work towards the US space program. So to summarize, in this video we found out what is the curse of knowledge, how does it stop us from communicating effectively, and a simple framework that we can use to overcome it. If you liked watching this video, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you'd like to keep seeing videos like this, make sure to subscribe. Thank you.